Hey everyone, Johnny here. Don't speak news. News we're not supposed to speak about, but now it's everywhere. It's going to be really hard for them to ignore. In fact, here we go. Breaking news: the U.S. ordered the evacuation of family members and non-essential personnel from Bahrain and Kuwait. War with Iran is already on the doorstep, they're saying. And if you go over here to BP News, Trump is supposed to give an emergency announcement. What is it they're preparing the masses for? So Trump is scheduled to give an emergency announcement from the White House tonight, apparently. To go along with all of that, we have the U.S. Navy has reportedly placed its base in Bahrain on high alert. Dependents are now being authorized for evacuation, which means, yes, Iran will most likely be attacking that base, which is what they said they would do in the event of war with the U.S. and Israel. And breaking news here, all U.S. tankers passing the Persian Gulf have been put on alert. And then this from the UK, the UK Maritime Trade Operations UK MTO has been made aware of increased tensions within the region, which could lead to an escalation of military activity and having a direct impact on mariners. Vessels are advised to transit the Arabian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, Straits of Hormuz with caution, and are to report incidents or suspicious activity. So there you go. That's from the UK Mariners Association. And then U.S. jets, as part of the international coalition, are conducting airstrikes right now in Raqqa, Syria. This video here are the initial visuals from that area. Can't see much except some fire in the distance. But there we go from the Blazing Press. And now we'll go over to the Blazing Press because it looks like there's some more updates now. I'll have to check out the Chinese thing here in a little bit, but the Israeli army is now on high alert in anticipation of a possible escalation with Iran. And it says this always happens before large-scale operations. Jordanian government websites are under a massive cyber attack. Kuwait apparently has also been hit by the cyber attacks. And it says here from the New York Times, negotiations between Iran and the U.S. have reached a dead end. And that is most likely why we're seeing all this activity. And we go over here. It says from Hal Turner Radio, Israel may defy the United States and attack Iran anyway. Well, if the negotiations are dead, they're probably going to do it together. And that's why the U.S. is putting their bases on alert in the Middle East. Yesterday, in telephone calls between U.S. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, 2 times the U.S. president turned down Israeli requests to engage Iran militarily. Now it seems Israel may defy the U.S., but as I just reported to you, that's not the case because the negotiations are now dead, which we figured they would be. All these negotiations were kind of a diversion to give the appearance that the U.S. was serious about negotiating with Iran, and then be able to save face when they say, well, we tried. We tried negotiations, didn't work. Even though the demands were, ridiculous, they knew Iran was never going to accept those demands about ceasing enrichment and only accepting enrichment from this consortium in Saudi Arabia, who could cut them off at a moment's notice. So no, they weren't going to accept that deal. They'd have been crazy to accept that deal. So now it's war. And apparently that's why Trump is going to have this emergency announcement this evening. I don't know what time it is. We'll have to, just check it out on the internet for yourselves. I haven't looked it up yet. But the U.S. has issued a security notice to all American vessels currently passing through the Persian Gulf. U.S. Naval Forces Command in Bahrain, housing the U.S. Fifth Fleet, has been placed on high alert. And like I said, family members of U.S. service members are being told to prepare for possible evacuation. The U.S. State Department has also authorized the evacuation of non-essential employees and family members from Kuwait. And U.S. military bases are being placed on high alert in the Middle East, and the U.S. State Department is allowing immediate departure of non-essential employees in the Middle East, are all clear signals that something wicked this way comes, indeed. Lastly, the UK MTO has issued an unusual advisory for the Arabian Gulf, like I just showed you. That was that Mariners announcement from the UK, that they've been made aware of the increased tensions in the region, which could lead to an escalation of military activity, having a direct impact on mariners. Extremely strange, it says here, but possibly related. Britain is telling its citizens to make sure their vehicles are fueled as full as they can be. The British are giving an almost ridiculous reason. An early summer-like heat wave may evaporate fuel. That's an utterly absurd reason since fuel caps seal the fuel tanks and fuel injectors are sealed inside the engine cylinders. It's not possible for fuel to evaporate. It is far more believable, however, that there's going to be a sudden and dramatic change in the availability of fuel. That could mean because of a war between Israel and Iran, wherein Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz, crippling 20% of daily global fuel flow. In addition, there's extremely heavy air traffic from military aircraft throughout the U.S. today, and even more military traffic into and out of the Middle East. So clearly something big is brewing. Stay alert, top off your preps, emergency food, water, medicines, and all that stuff. Have a generator if that's available for you. And of course, don't operate it indoors and so on and so forth. I will go ahead and put the link up for you like I always do on the website, don'tspeaknews.com. And that's it for now. I think that's enough for this segment. Remember, guys, no fear. It's the tribulation hour. Things like this are going to happen. Wars, rumors of war. But this looks like could be the real deal this time, where the U.S. and Israel are going in together, and the retaliation from Iran will be massive. And don't think that the U.S. and Israeli aircraft are going to get away scot-free. There's probably going to be some shoot downs, maybe quite a few. We'll have to see how it goes, because in case you didn't know, Iran hacked into all of the Israeli nuclear secrets. I've been putting it all over Telegram here recently, so go check it out on the Telegram page for Don't Speak News. But yesterday I put up all kinds of news from Iran talking about how they hacked into the Israeli nuclear security apparatus. And so they have all of Israel's nuclear secrets, everything. They know where they're going. They also know the operational plans for any attack that the U.S. and Israel are going to perpetrate upon Iran. So they're ready. They're waiting. They've got their air defenses set up accordingly. So this really won't go that well for the U.S. and Israel. Not the way people think, anyway. So we'll have to keep our eyes on it, guys. But I believe the war is here. The civil war is here in America as well, even though it is orchestrated. Okay? Keep that in mind. The powers that be are pulling the strings behind the scenes. They want this to happen. They have to have this to happen in order to implement their new dystopian AI government and martial law with the military and to enforce everything. As we're already seeing happen now in Los Angeles and other places. Texas has called in the National Guard as well. So that's something else to keep our eyes on. But prayed up and prepped up, guys. You know the drill. No fear. God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So prayed up and prepped up. That's all we can do. And God bless. Take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.